March 14th. Joshua 12, 13, 14, 15. Take 3. Apparently I had the wrong translation open, and yeah, I was just... Anyways. Joshua 12. And these are the sovereigns of the land, whom the children of Israel struck, and whose land they possessed beyond the Yarden, towards the sun rising, from the Wadi Arnon to Mount Hermon, and all the desert plain eastward. Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, ruling from Aroer, which is on the bank of the Wadi Arnon, from the middle of that wadi, and half of Gilad, even as far as the Wadi Jacob, as far as the border of the children of Ammon, and the desert plain, from the sea of Kinneroth eastward, as far as the sea of Arabah, the salt sea, the way of Beth Yeshimoth, and southward below the slopes of Pisgah, and the border of Og, sovereign of Bashan, who was of the remnant of the Raphaites, who dwelt at Ashtaroth and Edrei, and ruled in Mount Hermon, and in Salcah, and beyond, and in all Bashan, as far as the border of the Geshurites and the Maacathites, and half of Gilad, as far as the border of Shihon, sovereign of Heshbon. Moshe, the servant of Yah, and the children of Israel had stricken them. And Moshe, the servant of Yah, had given it as a possession to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to half the tribe of Manasseh. And these are the sovereigns of the land which Yahushua and the children of Israel struck beyond the Yarden, on the west, from Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon, as far as Mount Halak, that goes up to Seir, which Yahushua gave to the tribes of Israel as a possession according to their divisions. In the mountain country, and in the low country, and in the desert plain, and in the slopes, and in the wilderness, and in the south, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. The sovereign of Jericho, 1. The sovereign of Ai, which is beside Bethel, 1. The sovereign of Yerushalayim, 1. The sovereign of Hebron, 1. The sovereign of Yarmouth, 1. The sovereign of Lachish, 1. The sovereign of Eglon, 1. The sovereign of Gezer, 1. The sovereign of Debir, 1. The sovereign of Gedir, 1. The sovereign of Hormah, 1. The sovereign of Arad, 1. The sovereign of Libnah, 1. The sovereign of Adullam, 1. The sovereign of Magdala, 1. The sovereign of Beth El, 1. The sovereign of Tapuah, 1. The sovereign of Hefer, 1. The sovereign of Aphek, 1. The sovereign of Sharon, 1. The sovereign of Madon, 1. The sovereign of Hatzor, 1. The sovereign of Shimron Moran, 1. The sovereign of Akshaf, 1. The sovereign of Ta'anak, 1. The sovereign of Megiddo, 1. The sovereign of Kadesh, 1. The sovereign of Yokneam in Carmel, 1. The sovereign of Dor in the heights of Dor, 1. The sovereign of the nations of Gilgal, 1. The sovereign of Tirzah, 1. 31 sovereigns in all. And Yahushua was old, advanced in years. And Yah said to him, You are old, advanced in years, and still much of the land remains to be possessed. This is the land that remains. All the districts of the Philistines and the Geshurites, from Sheor, which is in front of Mitzrayim, and up to the border of Ekron eastward, are considered as Canaanite. The 5 princes of the Philistines, the Azathites, and the Ashdodites, the Eshkolonites, the Hittites, and the Ekronites, also the Awarites. On the south, all the land of the Canaanites and Merah that belongs to the Sidonites, as far as Aphek, to the border of the Amorites, and the land of the Gebalites, and all Lebanon, toward the sunrise, from Baal Gad below Mount Hermon, as far as the entrance to Hamath. All the inhabitants of the mountains from Lebanon, as far as Misrephoth, Maim, and all the Sidonians. I myself drive them out before the children of Israel. Only divide it by lot to Israel as an inheritance, as I have commanded you. And now divide this land as an inheritance to the 9 tribes, and half of the tribe of Manasseh. With them, the other half tribe, the Reubenites and the Gadites, received their inheritance, which Moshe had given them, beyond the Arden eastward, as Moshe, the servant of Yah, had given them. From Aroer, which is on the bank of the Wadi Arnon, and the city that is in the middle of the wadi, and all the plain of Medeba, as far as Dibon, and all the cities of Shihon, sovereign of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon, as far as the border of the children of Ammon, and Gilad, and the border of the Geshurites, and of the Maacathites, and all Mount Hermon, and all Bashan, as far as Salca. All the reign of Og in Bashan, who reigned in Ashtaroth, and Edrei, who remained of the remnant of the Rephaites, giants. For Moshe had stricken and dispossessed them. However, the children of Israel did not drive out the Gershurites or the Maacathites. So the Geshurites and the Maacathites dwell in the midst of Israel to this day. Only to the tribe of Levi he had given no inheritance. The offerings made by fire to Yah, Elohim of Israel, was their inheritance, as he said to them. And Moshe gave to the tribe of the children of Reuben for their clans. Their border was from Aroer, which is on the bank of the Wadi Arnon, and the city that is in the midst of the wadi, and all the plain by Medeba, Heshbon, and all its cities that are in the plain, Dibon, and Bamoth Baal, and Beth Baal Meon, and Yatzah, and Kedemoth, and Mephaath, and Kirithaim, and Sibmah, and Sereth, Sahar, on the mountain of the valley, and Beth Peor, and the slopes of Pisgah, and Beth Yeshimoth, and all the cities of the plain, and all the reign of Shion, sovereign of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon, whom Moshe had stricken with the princes of Midian, Ewi, and Rakim, and Seir, and Hur, and Reba, princes of Shion, dwelling in the land. And the sons of Israel killed with the sword Balaam, son of Beor, the diviner, among those who were killed by them. And the border of the children of Reuben was the bank of the Yarden. This was the inheritance of the children of Reuben for their clans, the cities and their villages. And Moshe gave to the tribe of Gad, to the children of Gad, for their clans. And their border was Yazir, and all the cities of Gilad, and half of the land of the children of Ammon, as far as Aroer, which is before Rabbah, and from Heshbon to Ramath Mitzvah, and Beton Nim, from Ma'anayim to the border of Debir. And in the valley of Beth Haram, and Beth Nimrah, and Succoth, and Zephon, the rest of the reign of Sion, sovereign of Heshbon, the Yarden being its border, as far as the sea of Kinnereth, beyond the Yarden eastward. This is the inheritance of the children of Gad, for their clans, the cities, and their villages. And Moshe gave to half the tribe of Manasseh, and it was for half of the tribe of the children of Manasseh for their clans. And their border was from Manayim, all Bashan, all the reign of Og, sovereign of Bashan, and all the small towns of Yair, which are in Bashan, 60 cities. And half of Gilad, and Ashtaroth, and Idrei, cities of the reign of Og and Bashan, were for the children of Machir, son of Manasseh, to half of the children of Machir for their clans. These Moshe gave as an inheritance in the desert plains of Moab beyond the Yarden, by Jericho eastward. But to the tribe of Levi Moshe gave no inheritance. Yah, Elohim of Israel, was their inheritance, as he said to them. Joshua 14. Now these, the children of Israel, inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest, and Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel, caused them to inherit. Their inheritance was by lot, as Yah had commanded by the hand of Moshe, for the 9 tribes and the half-tribe. For Moshe had given the inheritance of the 2 tribes and the half-tribe beyond the Yarden, but to the Levites he gave no inheritance in their midst. For the children of Yosef had become 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, and they gave no part to the Levites in the land, except cities to dwell in, with their open land for their livestock and their possessions. As Yah had commanded Moshe, so the children of Israel did, and they divided the land. And the children of Yehudah came to Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb son of Yephaniah, the Kenizzite, and said to him, You know the word which Yah said to Moshe, the man of Elohim, concerning you and me in Kadesh Barnea. I was 40 years old when Moshe, the servant of Yah, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land, and I brought back word to him, as it was in my heart. But my brothers who went up with me made the heart of the people melt, but I followed Yah, my Elohim, completely. So Moshe swore on that day, saying, The land on which your foot has trodden is your inheritance, and your children's forever, because you have followed Yah, my Elohim, completely. And now see, Yah has kept me alive, as he said, these 45 years since Yah spoke this word to Moshe, while Yisrael walked in the wilderness. And now, see, I am 85 years old today. Yet I am still as strong today as I was on the day that Moshe sent me. As my strength was then, so my strength is now, for battle, and for going out and for coming in. Now give me this mountain of which Yah spoke in that day, for you heard in that day how the Anakim giants were there, and that the cities were great and walled. If Yah is with me, then I shall dispossess them, as Yah said. Yahushua then blessed him, and gave Hebron to Caleb, son of Yephaniah, as an inheritance. So Hebron became the inheritance of Caleb, son of Yephaniah the Kenizzite, to this day, because he followed Yah, Elohim of Israel, completely. Now the name of Hebron was formerly Kiriath Arba. Arba was the greatest man among the Anakim, and the land had rest from fighting. Joshua 15. And with the lot of the tribe of the children of Yehudah for their clans was to the border of Edom, the wilderness of Sin, southward in the extreme south. And their southern border began at the edge of the Salt Sea, from the bay that faces southward. And it went out from the southern side of the ascent of Agrabim, passed over to Sin, and went up on the south side of Kadesh Barnea, and passed over to Hetzron, went up to Adar, and went around to Karka, and passed over to Atzmon, and went out to the Wadi of Mitzrayim, and the border ended at the sea. This is your southern border. And the east border was the Salt Sea, as far as the end of the Yarden. And the border on the northern quarter began at the bay of the sea at the end of the Yarden. And the border went up to Beth Hagla, and passed over north of Beth Arba. And the border went up to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. And the border went up toward Debir from the valley of Achor, and it turned northward toward Gilgal, which is before the ascent of Adumim, which is south of the Wadi. And the border passed over the waters of En Shemesh, and ended at En Rogel. And the border went up by the valley of the son of Hinnom to the southern border of the Jebusite city, that is, Yerushalayim. And the border went up to the top of the mountain that lies before the valley of Hinnom toward westward, which is at the end of the valley of Rephaim northward. And the border went around from the top of the hill to the fountain of the water of Nephtoah, and went up to the cities of Mount Ephron. And the border went around to Baalah, that is Kiriath Yarim. And the border turned around from Baalah westward to Mount Seir, and passed over to the side of Mount Yarim on the north, that is Kishalon, and went down to Beth Shemesh, and passed over to Timnah. And the border went out to the side of Ekron northward, and the border went around to Shekiron, and passed over to Mount Baalah, and went out to Yebneel, and the border ended at the sea. I'm going to roll up my window. One moment, please. And the west border was the coastline of the Great Sea. This is the boundary of the children of Yehudah all around for their clans. And to Caleb, son of Yephuneh, he gave a portion in the midst of the children of Yehudah, according to the mouth of Yah, to Yahushua. Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron. Arba was the father of Anak. And Caleb drove out the three sons of Anak from there: Shishai, Aiman, Talmai, the children of Anak. And he went up from there to the inhabitants of Debir, and the name of Debir was formerly Kiriath Sephir. And Caleb said, He who strikes Kiriath Sophir, and shall capture it. To him I shall give Aksa, my daughter, as wife. And Othniel, son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, did capture it. So he gave him Aksa, his daughter, as wife. He gave his nephew his daughter, I think. And it came to be, when she came to him, that she persuaded him to ask her father for a field. And when she got off from the donkey, Caleb said to her, "What is the matter?" And she said, "Give me a blessing. Since you have given me land in the south, give me also fountains of water." And he gave her the upper fountains and the lower fountains. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Yehudah for their clans. And the cities at the furthest border of the tribe of the children of Yehudah, toward the border of Edom in the south, were Kabziel, and Eder, and Yagur, and Kina, and Dimona, and Adadah, and Kadesh, and Hatzor, and Yithanan, and Ziph, and Telem, and Bealoth, and Hatzor, and Haggatha, and Kirioth, and Hetzron, that is Hetzor, Amam, Shema, and Oladah, Hatzor, Gadah, and Heshmon, and Beth Pelet, and Hatzor Shual, and Beor Sheba, and Bez Yothah, Bala, and Ilam, and Itzim, and El Tolad, and Kesl, and Horma, and Tzeklag, and Madmana, and Sansana, and Lebaoth, and Shilhim, and Ain, and Rimmon. All the cities were 25, with their villages. In the low country, Ishtaol, and Sorah, and Ashna, and Zanoah, and In Ganim, Tapua, and Enam, Yarmuth, and Abulam, Sokol, and Azekah, and Sha'arim, and Adithaim, and Gedera, and Gederothim, 14 cities with their villages. Sinah, and Hadashah, and Migdal Gad, and Delan, and Mitzvah, and Yukathel, Lachish, and Botzkath, and Eglon, and Kabon, and Lamam, and Kithlish, and Gederoth, Beth Dagon, and Naamah, and Makkedah, 16 cities with their villages. My lunch is over, so I'm going to have to come back and finish this in a moment. Sorry, it was a long day. Finally back to it. guess I'm posting this tonight, but it will still be posted on the correct day. Verse 42. Libnah and Ether, and Ashan, and Yipthan, and Ashna, and Yetzib, and Keilah, and Haksib, and Marishah, 9 cities with their villages. Ekron with its towns and its villages. From Ekron to the sea, all that were by the side of Ashdod, with their villages. Ashdod, its towns and its villages. Azah, its towns and its villages, as far as the Wadi of Mitzrayim and the Great Sea with its coastline. Sorry, I'm feeding the dogs, and they're apparently very hungry. And in the mountain country, Shamir, and Yetzer, and Soko, and Danah, and Kiryath Sanah, that is Deber, and Anab, and Ish Timo, and Anim, and Goshen, and Halon, and Gilo, 11 cities with their villages. Arab, and Dima, and Ishan, and Yanim, and Beth Tapua, and Africa, and Humta, and Kiryath Arba, that is Hebron, and Seor, 9 cities with their villages. Ma'on, Carmel, Ziph, Utah, and Yisrael, Yizriel, and Yokdeam, and Zanoah, Cain, and Geba, and Timnah, 10 cities and their villages. Haol, Bethzor, Gidor, and Gidor, and Ma'arath, and Beth Anoth, and El Zekon, 6 cities with their villages. Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Arim, and Reba, 2 cities with their villages. In the wilderness, Beth Araba, Midden, and Sikaka, and Nibshan, the city of salt, and En-Gedi, 6 cities with their villages. As for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the children of Judah were unable to drive them out. So the Jebusites have dwelt with the children of Judah at Jerusalem to this day. Thank you for your patience.